Evening and welcome back to Riven. Ooh. Now, where were we last time? The dome power supply. I suppose I really should be taking some time out to glory at some of these late 1990s artwork. Because, my god, these games are beautiful. The generator island over there, that's where we're heading to next to finish solving the fire dome puzzle, fire marble puzzle. That's the villagers island over there with the forest that's been mostly cut down for Gen's books. The map island over there where we found the locations of the domes. Here we are on, I cannot remember what the name of this island is properly. Could just be the... That's what it's called, it's the Crater Island. Because it's a crater. No! I didn't mean to go that way. So with the lore of the game, okay. With the lore of the game, Riven is an age that was written by Atris's father, who, amongst other things, is not a very nice person. No, that's not where I wanted to go. That's not what I wanted wanted to do at all. That's what I wanted to do. So, Gen is not a very nice person, as I think we may have already been able to establish from some very subtle things like his execution devices and such like that. However, one more press. What am I trying to say? I forgot what I've been trying to say. Something again is not a nice person. Everything that he creates, he numbers. So, the overarching lore of these games was expanded with a couple of novels, which are I love them. They're very good reads. Go back and read them every so often, and now that I've got a camera, I've got to remember that people can see me yawn. And here we have the fire marble problem. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so Gen calls Riven his fifth age. He also names his offsiders in each age by their ranking. And when he writes ages, he had collected a lot of descriptive books from the ruins of the Dunny City, and rather than actually writing his own worlds, he would read other people's books and go, that's an interesting phrase, I'll use that one. So all the ages that he's written tend to have some flaw in them. And when he excuse me again, when he finally brought Atris back to Dunny with him, and started to teach Atris how to write using the art. Write, art, age, all are capitalized for one. Yeah, he just wrote Atris the sort of mechanics of writing. But Atris was being raised by Gen's mother, Anna, also known as Tiana, who was basically trying to teach Atris how to, like, she was teaching Atris how to take into account the bigger picture of everything. And so Atris was able to look at different aspects of Gen's ages and find out where the flaws lie. And through a series of events, Atris ends up really pissing off Gen, who then locked Atris into a small room at the bottom of their mansion on Kavir Island in the city. That is where we meet Atris at the end of Myst and at the start of Riven. Gen left Atris the book, the Age 5 book, presumably so that Atris would have a source of food. And that's sort of where Atris started to learn the basically he learned how mentally screwed up Gen actually was, in regards to trying to one-handedly rebuild the Dunny civilization. My apologies, I just realised that I've been looking at my stream preview over the side here, and rather than actually looking at the camera. That's better. Yeah, and so Atris surveyed Riven. It was all one large island back then. The flaws that Gen wrote into the Age had caused the island to break up and drift apart from each other. Long story short, Atris managed to trap Gen here by destroying the linking books out from here, one being Gen's own linking book, the other being Atris's linking book back to his prison on Kavir. But in that time, Atris met and fell in love with a villager named Katran, which Atris kept on mispronouncing to be Catherine. And Catherine ended up being taught how to write herself, which sort of destroyed one of the lies that Gen was trying to instill into Atris, which was only those of Dunny blood could write. Yeah, and Catherine gave Atris the book to Myst, so Myst isn't actually Atris's age. Anyway, it's not even Catherine's age. Somebody else wrote it entirely. But anyway, being trapped on this island, Gen had to start from basically scratch, and he managed to devise a formula from the local ingredients to be able to produce his own blank descriptive and linking books and inks. So he actually succeeded in being able to write ages, functional ages, which, for not having those notes that you may have collected over the years in Dunny, is a pretty impressive feat. But yeah, in order to get a suitable link going through these books that he created, he had to find a different power supply for them. Excuse me again. Not a different power supply, like an augmented power supply, which takes the place of domes. Now the domes have a series of symbols on them, one of which being golden, which corresponds to being a colour. and back on the map island I was able to get the locations of the domes on this handy dandy little gridded map. Unfortunately, this island here, the prison island, I haven't been able to travel to yet, so I've got no idea what colour that dome is. On the map island, the heliotrope that stops it was actually at an odd angle, so you can't clearly see the symbol. So while these three I'm more or less certain about, these two I need to do some trial and error. Fortunately, there's only two possible locations and 3 possible colours left. So if we come back here, lower the supply. That is the wrong combination. So I'll make one change and do this again. So that was orange, yellow, no, orange, blue, no. So we go with yellow, orange, yellow, blue, blue, orange, blue, yellow. So yellow is there, and orange is there. Nope. again, or do I see it go and do the other thing first? Let's go and do the other thing first. Oh! I did forget that these islands tend to reset. The vehicle is still here. Ah, yes. Going up. Oops. This has been animated is... Alright. May not be done. Oh, let me say hello to our friend first. I don't need to come back the long way. Never noticed a little shake of the head in the previous times that I've played this. But where is he gone? I knew there were fire marbles along here. The moiety dagger. And lots of animals. Now, dear viewer, do you happen to remember where we saw designs such as this? The fish. The CDRom. Oh no, I did it wrong. The CDRom is number 3, not number 2. So you can raise them. I thought it was a put them all down and then it goes, this is wrong, and it resets. Where is that scarab? There it is. Now the frog. Then the sunner, which was the creature that I approached a little bit too quickly and missed out on hearing the wonderful, wonderful call of. Oh, I so love how this book was revealed. I've had a random blink and I can't remember what the name of this age is. Strangely enough, for being somewhere where, for somebody who knows how to find the answers in this game, this is about 2 hours into a gameplay. The Moiety Hive was actually the box artwork for the game. I cannot find a way over to the hive. The end. Apparently I'd gotten to that book faster.
Killing me, Mom.
Music in these games.
Saya ya palo. Yapa ay manay yalepo. Meu tisay. Bekaretere wira pe yelo kene falapo. Tisay. Why te fulupe?
And at this point, I could start finding the endings of the game. Oh wow, okay. Atris went all out with this book. He even put the little 5s in the corners. I linked to Riven a week ago. The smell of the place overwhelmed me moments before I could see anything. With my sight only partially cleared, I stood motionless, peering ahead through a dim veil which was slowly lifting. There was a violent clang. And something appeared. I remember breathing slowly and very deeply, tasting the familiar Riven air, but not recognizing a thing. I must have been hit with the dart right away. I thought it was an insect bite at first. I'm trying to remember it all, but it's difficult. Maybe because of the drug. There was a voice, a man I did not recognize. A man I did not recognize stood before me, Rivenese, though he was wearing dunny dress. He seemed to be talking to me, but the poison was already taking effect. A shadow crept in and I fell asleep. Then there were the many voices, but I understood none of them. Like hundreds of people whispering, I couldn't wake up. No matter, the dream did end. And now, to be here with Gti, It's been so many years, I didn't realize how much I missed her. Like a piece of me that I had forgotten I'd lost. Like a piece of me that I'd forgotten I'd lost. She's beautiful and so full of warmth, but the years have also left her with a wound which was not there when we were children. I do wish she were more interested. It seems like... I write quickly from my prison. Nilak will return your book which the moiety intercepted upon your arrival. After questioning her, I've concluded that it was written by Atris for a very specific purpose. Gen will desire to use it, although he may have suspicions. If you can find my prison, you will still need the combination to release me. Gen keeps it in his office. Then I assume where to signal Atris, but I think I know how it might be done. But don't signal him before I am released. Catherine. Been so many years, I didn't realize how much I missed her. Like the piece of me that I had forgotten. I do wish she was more interested. It seems like I'm asking all the questions. It seems like I'm asking all the questions. It's awkward. No one asks me where I've been or what I've been doing. This hurts, but I understand it. Their beliefs are born out of ignorance and oppression. They are a gentle people, but they've had their nest destroyed, and now they frantically cling to anything that might save them. But why have they chosen to cling to me? I'm confused. As a child, I always felt out of place here. I never belonged. They misunderstood me, and I couldn't relate to them. But now I'm overwhelmed by an intense feeling that I owe everything to them and this place. I thought I would never see them again, and yet I'm here. I've been given this second chance. But a second chance at what? Saving them? Fulfilling their prophecies? Being their savior? The moiety. Atris would want me to chronicle all that I've learned, and I can at least record some of it. It seems that when Atris and I trapped Gen on Riven many years ago, our efforts were witnessed by most of the inhabitants here. 2 of the Rivenese even witnessed the confrontation with Gen at the fissure, where I linked back to Myst, and where Atris threw himself into the abyss. Of course, they understood little of what they were seeing, but they somehow were able to guess that we had won. That Gen was no god at all, but only a feeble impostor, a false god, and that we had trapped him here on Riven. I always hoped they would deduce this simple truth, but their further conclusions have astonished me. Atris had stripped Gen of his power, therefore Atris must be a true god. As a god, he was choosing me, the spiritual misfit from a Rivenese womb, to be his wife. I was transcending into deity and would lord over Riven forever. Thus the moiety, as they call themselves, were born a dissident society, sworn enemies of Gen. I did not know of their beliefs regarding Atris and myself until 2 days ago. Gati was, for some reason, hesitant to tell me. I can't figure out why. I know she doesn't believe these things. Of course, everyone she assumed that I would be... Of course, everyone else assumed that I would be aware of my own god status, so they made no effort to inform me. I only realized it at a recent gathering to which I was invited. I sat at the front of a dimly lit and crowded cave as they told a mythical story of my own life, acting out the battle between Atris, myself, and Gen at the edge of the fissure. The events had been exaggerated into grandiose proportions. It was offensive, but I was unable to stop it. I was unable to break the illusion, which is the very foundation of their hope and purpose, and which has given them courage to band together and rebel against Gen. Since then, I've learned of other doctrines and beliefs that have evolved. The most disturbing of which is the conviction that one day I would return to Riven to free them. Some desire that I will overthrow Gen. Others believe that I will bring them to paradise. I don't know how to deal with this. I fight myself. The law these people... I don't know how to deal with this. I fight myself. I love these people, my only real kindred, but they will not love me as an equal, which hurts me. I would never be their slave. I would rather be their slave than their master. Over the years, as Gen's power has become greater and greater, the moiety's numbers have grown, and they have become more and more adept at hiding themselves. They now live in a complex network of caves that he still has not discovered. The moiety, for the most part, have completely severed their relationship with any of the Rivenese that chose against joining them. But I hope they're not sacrifice But I hope they've not sacrificed vital limbs in order to remove the cancer. But I hope they've not sacrificed vital limbs in order to remove the cancer. Grimfather and Grant are still on the surface in Gen's domains, and I long to see them. But a dimness shrouds Kitty's face every time I've mentioned them. Since this break took place, they have interfered with the surface in superficial ways, occasionally sabotaging one of Gen's constructions or stealing food from the villagers. They wear strange masks and costumes during their short forays to the island's surface and take this regalia very seriously, refusing to be seen by anyone outside the moiety unless they are properly attired. They get much pleasure out of the fact that those on the surface are frightened by these costumes, calling them evil spirits or ghosts. It was during one of these expeditions that they fortuitously rescued me from one of Gen's guards when I first appeared on the island. Otherwise, I'm sure I would have been delivered to Gen immediately. I've no doubt that he's now searching for me. Of course, I am now aware that I was fooled. Atris is not here. I was at first devastated by this realization. Now I am thankful. He would be in extreme peril here. Also, there is a quiet inner voice, an echoing remnant that wants him far away. I have just witnessed an age dying, gasping its last breath. Today I ventured to the surface to see what has become of this island. I hoped it would not be as bad as the moiety had reported. It was worse. They have become slowly accustomed to its steady decay, but I was devastated. The lips from which the kiss is wrought has fallen words, will fall cold breath. The womb from which the cry released has suffered hurt, will suffer death. To get to the surface, we had to travel through a complex series of doors and passages. Before the last of these doors, they offered me a weapon, which I accepted, and then a mask. I held the mask in my hands for a while, wondering what sort of terror it might invoke in those members of my family who still live on the surface. But I also knew I must keep my identity hidden from Gen's ever-vigilant eye, so I accepted it as well. Then, together, we swam a short expanse and emerged out of the surface of the ocean under a rocky overhang. The harsh sunlight made my eyes sting, but the fresh, rich air was exhilarating after these past weeks in the dank cave. The two men with me were silent, communicating only with hand signals. The three of us emerged from our hiding place, and made our way to the top of the plateau. At the edge of the thick and overgrown area of the forest, they stopped, peered through the foliage for a moment, and then turned to me as if awaiting my command, but could not respond. I'm what is that? I found it difficult to move. I was smelling, hearing, and breathing my youth. But could not respond, in fact. Could not respond. In fact, I found it difficult to move. I was smelling, hearing, and breathing my youth. This swept over me in a matter of seconds, but in seconds more, all feeling was gone. There was numbness. We did not stay long on the surface, but it was long enough to see the worst. Riven was once one island. Riven, which was once one island, has split apart into 5 distinct pieces about a half a mile apart. 4 of these have been claimed by Gen as his exclusive domain. Only his ministers and personal militia are ever allowed access to them. From my vantage point at the edge of the forest, I could see 3 of these islands. They are stripped of their former beauty and are riddled with Gen's self-absorbed constructions. The moiety rarely visit these closely guarded places. There is another island which I could not see, as it had evidently crept away to a terrific distance. The moiety are very unclear as to what exists on this island, except for the fact that they know it was where the great tree used to exist. The forest is located on the island that the surface dwellers and the moiety still refer to as Riven, but they also still refer to their entire world as Riven. This island is where the village is, which has changed dramatically. It is also the one remaining province of the people. Their Gen's influence can be seen everywhere. Map of the 4 islands is crater, generator, village, and map. Of course, I know the reason for the fracturing of the island. The moiety do not. Gen wrote this place, and it will die, as all of Gen's ages eventually die. I feel nothing today. I am nothing. I live in a cave on a dying world, inhabited by people that... They are treating me so strangely. They don't know how to relate to a god. I'm still an outcast here. They whisper amongst themselves, talking of my... talking of my bravery during my excursion to the surface, how I walked across the island, bold and unafraid. They don't know me. Even Giti is uncomfortable around me. At times there is no awkwardness, and I am only Kitran to her. But at other times I am something else. I am afraid. There's such a gaunt numbness inside me. Today I do not feel closeness with my people. Neither am I offended by their worship of me. I do not hate Gen. I do not feel anything. I'm not even sure of... At least Neela is still close. I am boiling. Gen is making and writing books. I wish they had told me sooner. Atris should have realized this would happen. Of course Gen would have written all of the materials necessary to the Denis. Atris should have realized that this would happen. Of course Gen would have written all of the materials necessary to the Denis craft of making books into this age, and probably every other age he ever wrote. He is attempting to write his way out of here. We did not imprison him. We only delayed him. This age has become his factory, and the people are his machines. All... what is that? All labouring in his mad pursuit to become a god. To carry on his noble Dunny cause. So far he has not been able to produce a fully functional book. Atris has never believed in destiny, but I don't know what else to call it. It's too perfect. It's too much of a coincidence. They hang on my every word, though they do not understand them. I am their hope, and now I have returned. I owe this to them. There is no choice. It's been a long time since my last entry. It is hard to recognize, but I have found the star fissure. It is located on the island which the Rivenese call Aleppo, meaning water pool, but which is referred to by the moiety as Aletwan, meaning pool of stars. Having once allowed Atris to escape this age without leaving an open door behind us, it has since been sealed with a skin of heavy iron. A crude telescope has been mounted over a locked viewport. The combination to which was acquired by the moiety before my arrival. Hehehe. Five, 1, 5, 3. I like that little side bite. Just something to show that I am scribbling away and still present. But now that I've got a camera, maybe not so necessary. Anyway, 5, 5, 1, 5, 3. In the early days, the moiety seeking an escape from Riven briefly pursued the idea of reopening the fissure. They discovered a small mechanical stop to prevent the scope from hitting the portal window. Ultimately, however, they decided against opening it. I hate to think what would have happened to them if they had not left it alone. I've instructed them to stay away from it. I'm almost certain that, with the decayed state of the island, opening the fissure would be disastrous. This journal's handwriting is horrible to read. I have heard that in the days immediately following Gen's confinement on Riven, he attempted to determine the feasibility of navigating the stars beneath the fissure, for he had seen the Myst book fall from Atrus's hands into that very same space. To this end, he would have people, alleged transgressors of the law, thrown into it so that he could observe their fate. The telescope, which still stands there, is one he had built for those callous experiments. It is said that they did not die, but what became of them remains a mystery. It appears that the limits of Gen's optics prevented him from learning their fate. The starfield beneath the fissure is not as it seems. It is a gentle space, as hospitable to life as a flowing river. This is how Atrus explained it after he had fallen into it. But much more than that, we've never understood, and we were never able to conclude upon its origins. But the visions tell me that it was born out of the will of the Maker, perhaps for some greater purpose that we cannot yet understand. I still remember Atrus's words from his journal. I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse, of which I only had a fleeting glimpse. There must be some greater reason behind it. I neglected to mention it earlier. The unique shape of one of the great daggers which appeared during our escape from Riven. The very design that stands vertically at the end of the one has been adopted by the moiety as the symbol of their cause. It is a sacred symbol for them. It is the representation of all their doctrine and their representation of me. To deface this symbol is sacrilege. They have their own mythical explanation regarding its sudden origins. I haven't told them that I wrote it into this age, along with all the other daggers. It's strange how such a young religion can be so unbending, even to their own god. I have tried to dissuade them of the notion that symbols contain so much power. The enemy uses this against them. They are fearful of Gen's symbol and are terrorized by his symbolic use of the wark. But they don't want to hear this from me. Perhaps my attempts have even caused some of the younger members of the moiety to doubt that I am Catherine. My rare encounters with those who say they follow Gen have been discouraging. I have hoped to have some communication with them, with the surface villagers, but they always flee from me. But I have heard news of some of the villagers' beliefs regarding Gen. Soon after we trapped Gen on Riven, he claimed that he was responsible for the daggers, placing them around the island as a reminder of their failure. In the village's circles, it is told that this was a punitive act performed by Gen to mark the beginning of a period of restitution, at the end of which, if they have proven their devotion to him, they will be delivered unto a new and better existence. I will continue to try to reach them. The door is open. Is Gen is face? Gen has the ability to create working books. In fact, he had written one age before I arrived. But he's kept this accomplishment so well hidden that only his closest ministers were aware until now. I'm not sure. Perhaps he's written others. Other news. A few years ago, before the moiety were forced into hiding, one of them managed to steal what appeared to be a test book that Gen had intended to destroy. It had been partially written, but did not work. They didn't tell me about it until now, because they thought it was useless. Back then, none of Gen's books worked, but instead of connecting the problem to its source, he blamed it on the impure wood of the Riven forest and proceeded to engineer a cumbersome mechanical remedy, a complex series of domes to heal his book's inherent flaws. One of the consequences of this crude solution, however, was that the domes demanded huge amounts of energy, and the related problems delayed his success for quite some time. At last, however, he finished his work and was finally able to link to an age, but he kept his success extremely well hidden. However, for some reason or another, belligerent pride, he has made modifications to the domes which make it obvious that he is using the domes to breathe life into his half-dead books. Perhaps he means to lure us into using the books in the domes. He can't believe that we would blindly swallow. Excuse me. He can't believe that we would blindly swallow this suicidal bait. But he wouldn't know that we have one of his books, the stolen, burnt book. There's the possibility of. Have read burnt book. Age it describes would be unsuitable as new home for the moiety. Must be modified. I will dream. Have requested a group to solve combination that will open the domes. Once open we can power the burnt book. I do not think Gen will interfere. He will leave the bait. Have begun writing the moiety's age. Now must acquire second book from Gen. There is tension. A strain blurs my vision. and nightmares. Nila and Gitti stay close. Starfisher, moiety dagger. Person standing there, Gen watching everything. Much has happened. Almost everything is prepared. We have stolen another book, but I'm concerned. Gen will miss it. We have also discovered the combinations for entering the domes, but we have not discovered the method for powering them. By powering our burnt book with Gen's domes, we will be able to link to this age, but we will only have access to the domes for a short time before we are discovered. Therefore, we can only use the domes once. I must find another way to make the books work. The gateway images of in Gen's books and our burnt book all seem to share the same sickness. If they are not powered, the images are black. It might be possible to clear the vision with only will write substance into the moiety age. All is ready. Now all we can do is wait for word from the moiety Gusk, who are on the lookout for Gen, to power and use the domes. When he does that, we will have access to one of Gen's domes just long enough. After linking to the age which I've written, I only have to locate the book window substance and refine or adapt it. Hopefully this window over the gateway image should heal the books and make them work. This will allow me to use the second stolen book and return to Riven with more of the book windows. We will then no longer have to rely on Gen's clumsy domes. I laugh at these plans. I sound like Atris. I'm risking my life, but I feel no fear, only anxiety. Perhaps it is the source of my nightmares. The fissure, like a great wound, is opened. It stains the riven soil with blood. I hold the moiety knife. The voices grow so loud. For their part, the moiety have complete faith that I will accomplish my task and lead them to a better world. It is the fulfillment of their prophecy, but they are... excuse me again. It is the fulfillment of their prophecy, but they are also fearful and tense. I don't know what they will think or do if I fail. It is done. It seems too good to be true. I feel like it is all still a dream. We have already evacuated all of the moiety to this new age. It is beautiful, and I am pleased. At last my people will live in safety and comfort. They stand under the bare sky, unafraid and dazzled by their freedom. They are happy. They have named it Tay. There's still much to be done. We are not protected yet. The only way to completely safeguard this place is to destroy the book which links to here from Riven. But I do not even know how to bring this up to the moiety. They will be extremely reluctant without destroying their only link to Riven. About destroying their only link to Riven. I share this hesitation. I would be cutting off my only connection. But for their sake it must be done. I am anxious to know if our activities have aroused Gen's suspicions. If so, we must act quickly. Even so, I feel that now we are impregnable. Tomorrow I will return to Riven to see Gen's reaction for myself. But tonight I finally rest.
Sira po. Ibuko mo buko wisipo. Na vene. Tapo mo revene beno. Now, Katerina ne. Wisifa polo ya sepe yai.
Now, what I was saying about this being a point of which I can start making endings is I could use the prison book right now. Or I can continue, or I can continue the story. It is time to finish this. Okay. 5, 10, 15, 21, 15, 16, 17, 6, 4, 2.
I apologize for the cage. I'm afraid this situation has often required of me a more primitive code of conduct than I might otherwise have chosen. I am Gen. I assume you've heard of me. Yes. Well, I suspect you have acquired some false information of who I am now. Not that my son would have lied to you about me. No, not Atris. It's just that, well, I'm sure he believes me to still be the depraved father I once was. Yes. I even tried to kill him once. God, if I had accomplished that, who knows what I would have become. A great father indeed, who tries to murder his own son. Thankfully, he trapped me on age 5, a prison of my own creation. No books, no precious inks, no ages to link to, nothing but my own foolish ambitions. That was 30 years ago. 30 years, 30 lifetimes, what does it matter? No sentence could be too harsh for the man I was. But I have changed. To be sure, the deeds of my past can never be completely atoned for, but my mission was an honorable one. I'm sorry, this is all a bit awkward. It's been a long time since I've attempted to persuade anyone of my intentions. Most of the people here have already made their minds up about me one way or another. I myself do not trust the words of most men, so I don't expect you to believe me. In the end, though, you may discover that I do have more than mere words to offer. Atris's choice of punishment has been hard on the people of Riven, and many have suffered because of it. The island has been steadily decaying for years, but according to my most recent measurements, it appears that the 5th age has entered its final days. Unless the villagers can be relocated soon, the island will collapse entirely and everyone will perish. It has taken me a long time to do it, but it appears that finally I'll be able to make some substantial amends to my past transgressions, especially in, well, I'm afraid I've had some trouble with Catherine and the moiety. In any society, there will always be a small percentage of the population with rebellious tendencies. Before Catherine appeared, the moiety, as they call themselves, had been relatively harmless. I mean, the natives here are a fairly violent people by nature, but I'd almost come to accept their presence. It seemed inevitable under the circumstances. Upon Catherine's return, however, their violence intensified considerably. It seems she's become some sort of religious savior to them. And as far as I can tell, she's come to believe this herself. So I've had no alternative. I had to separate her from her people. I must admit, though, that my concerns were not entirely for her safety alone. The actions of Catherine and the moiety have put my own life at risk on numerous occasions. Consequently, the lives of all the people here. Therefore, I must ask you to refrain from any attempt to free her. although I'm sure Atreus desires it. Indeed, he must desire it with all his heart. But he is completely unaware of her recent state. Which brings me to the point of all of this. The linking book you brought with you. You're very fortunate to have recovered it. If I may. Thank you.
Yes, read that book. Search for those secret codes, these slight alterations that Atreus made.
Perhaps it would be best if you went through first. You may need some time to decide. That is reasonable. Until then, as a token of my good intentions, I will allow you free access to my linking books, crude though they may be, and to the rest of the Fifth Age. Please understand, there is nothing I want more than a chance to resolve matters between Atreus and myself, especially in light of what has become of Catherine. But unless you are willing to demonstrate to me that your intentions are honorable, I cannot risk it. The sanctuary I've been writing for the islanders is nearly complete. After all these years, it would be a shame if I were unable to finish it. The work I am doing is quite demanding. Please don't signal me unless you've decided to use the book. The switch will reset itself once you link from here.
And that is Gen. Generator Island. This would be the Crater Island. Inside the cave. Oh. This is a pretty cool way to be able to see the simp of the domes. Map Island. village island. Island that I have not yet been to. Another musical combo. Yay! Gotta love having musical combos in these games.
Yafe adik. You made it. But how'd you get past Gen? He must really believe I've gone mad. I know what he's doing. He's watching you. He's waiting for you to make a mistake. He's hoping you'll lead him back to Dunny. You can't let Gen... Atris sent you to save me. But if Gen gets back to Dunny, he'll kill him. I think I know how to signal Atris, but it's going to take both of us. You'll have to trap Gen before you can get the combination. Be careful. Go then. If you won't help me, then I have nothing more to say.
Shrink. Editing. Notes. If you ever want to play any of these games yourself, the first piece of advice that I can give you, notebook. I would so love to be able to go back and play these games for the first time. Just so that I could have the experience of exploring the worlds again. So that I could take notes for everything that I should be taking notes for, as opposed to just like, it's probably really hard to see, especially when the camera goes, I can no longer recognize a person. But all I have is just answers. Come at me again.
I'm relieved you've returned. I thought perhaps you had decided against it. Here, I shall follow you directly.
Almost timed out and got a bad ending. It worked. Gens Inkwell. I have that.
Natsu? Shima? Shorate. まだ寝た。 Kagamem. San Botegan Shem. Fasi.
I start this latest journal with astounding news. Catherine has returned to the Fifth Age, and though it sets my teeth on edge to say it, she has also vanished as quickly as she appeared, stolen from me by the rebels. As my guard tells it, she linked into the Fissure Plateau cage, as I'd guessed. You know what, let me... Before I finish that off, let's... have a look and make sure that the other journal up here doesn't take place first. Oh, it's a dead book. It is not a journal. She linked, as my guard tells it, she linked into the Fissure Plateau cage, as I'd guessed, when suddenly he was set upon by a band of rebels who darted him and spirited her away. I suspect the truth of the matter was that he was so dumbfounded at actually witnessing somebody link in after all this time that he presented an easy target for whichever rebel had happened by at that moment. The damnable luck of it. He did get a good enough look at her, though, to verify that it was indeed Catherine. He also claims that he inspected all of her belongings and found no linking book on her person, a fact which, if true, makes the question of why she's returned here all the more puzzling. While I am sick with frustration at having lost the only quarry that Cage has ever caught, I am also filled with hope. She may yet provide me with a way back to Dunny. It is true that I have managed, despite overwhelming odds, to break free of the confines of the Fifth Age and resume my mission to save my culture from extinction. But I fear that unless I am able to regain access to the vast resources that lie in the city's ruins, the task of reconstructing that great civilization will be impossible. If Catherine did bring a linking book with her, then I am halfway there. If not, then she is trapped in the Fifth Age, and I can assume that my emotionally crippled son will soon be along to rescue her. Either way, it is crucial to my plans that I find her soon. Her presence here now forces me to take the rebels more seriously. I should never have permitted them to survive this long. Once again, the Great Wark has demonstrated its usefulness to me. This past week, the villagers have been most difficult to manage. Apparently they have learned of Catherine's arrival, and their fear of this mythic beast has been all that has kept them in line. Had I known how truly useful these prodigious creatures would prove to be, I would have perhaps captured more of them while the local population was still plentiful. Although, to be sure, if these disturbances continue, my current pets will be in no danger of perishing for lack of nourishment. The search for Catherine continues. I now deeply regret my mistake of having ever taught these primitive people anything at all about the books. It seems that with each passing day, I more sorely realize the extent to which they were not ready for that knowledge. Not even in the simplified manner in which I had presented it to them. Their minds, adapted only to the exceptionally menial tasks of village life, were incapable of comprehending the art in all its complexity, and thus were unable to extract the essential underlying principles that are, ironically, so elegantly simple. It is obvious that much of the discord that exists between us stems from their failure to grasp the full meaning of the information I gave them. If they'd been able to gain even the smallest glimpse of the future I'd planned for them, then this conflict would not exist. The minds of children are much more malleable with the proper instruction. They have developed a more appropriate posture towards the culture that gave them their lives. At times they take to it almost as if they had a bit of Dunny blood in them. Given the natives' inborn limitations, however, I am quite careful that none gain a level of understanding that would permit them to sin against their future the way that Catherine did. How foolish I was to think that she could contain such knowledge responsibly, when it was quite clear that my own son could not. Atris. Still he remains one of the greatest disappointments of my life. I should never have left him with my mother. By the time I'd returned to him for him, he had already been poisoned as to all thoughts of the Dunny. Perhaps it was the only way that she could rationalize the fact that she had been responsible for the collapse of their civilization. So much destruction and so many great lives lost. The guilt must have been unbearable. I do have vague recollections of the love that she had for my father and for our world. But ultimately, she was an outsider whose ignorance of the Dunny became the catalyst for their demise. If I am able to rebuild our culture in the process correct such crucial weaknesses, then perhaps what she did was ultimately necessary, in order that a new era of prosperity might someday come to pass. These last few weeks I have found myself frequently beset by images from the past. As I stood in the schoolroom today, I was reminded of my own childhood, the years I spent in the Bookmakers Guild, Father's immense pride at each of my small accomplishments there. He was an important man in the Dunny world, but I can't begin to think of him for too long. It's too much. I was too young to see such a thing. I've got her! Late last night I received word that Catherine was in the village attempting to persuade the people to join her. I lost 2 good men in the process, but I would have paid 100 times that number for such a prize. She's been taken to the prison island, where I've been attempting to gain some insight as to the reason for her presence here. I've had to fight the all but constant impulse to put her on the gallows. She has adopted the most infuriating stance of only answering my questions, when she answers them at all, in her native tongue. Even so, she is a poor liar. I am now quite certain that her return to Riven was unintentional, and that she brought no linking book with her. As for her unwillingness to share with me the location of the moiety, we shall see. Without their leader, however, they are once again powerless against me. If Catherine's coming here was indeed an accident, then Atris is bound to come for her. That is a given. The question I must now consider is, how will he do it? It is likely that his hesitation has been due, at least in part, to this dilemma. One way or another, though, he'll have to bring a linking book to get back to Dunny. There is no other way. It's late, and I cannot sleep. I've lost so much in my life. My people, my father, my son, and you, my wife, Kita. You were the only true kindness I've ever known. Watching you flicker there in the imager, I sometimes wonder if you were real. If I could restore your life with my pen, I would do so in an instant, and leave the rest of the world to their own wretched fate. Damn these savages! I would be well advised to leave them all in the 5th age and begin again with a clean sheet of paper. A stranger has arrived on Riven with a linking book to Dunny, and once again my useless minion was overtaken by the rebels. From what little I could decipher from his muddled explanation, it apparently occurred sometime this morning. The cage had been damaged, but it is no matter. Everything I need is here now. Atris is certainly behind this. Yet how could he be so foolish as to send someone here with a linking book? Such blatancy is unlike him. Could it be that he has had a change of heart? After all these years, is he finally letting his poor old father go? No, he's only after one thing. Perhaps he should find her. For now, I need only wait and observe. So that would be tring tack ding ding tring. Yep. Okay, let's get Catherine out. Welcome, second viewer. I'm not far from the end of this game.
We have to move quickly. Gen's people may already know what's happening. Once we're back with the moiety, we'll have time to regroup. Can I see the book? You did it. We're all free. You captured Gen. But there's still his followers. I'm not sure what I'll do once I realize he's gone. I'll have to get the villagers to safety as soon as possible. You go back to the Temple Island and reopen the fissure. I know it's risky, but it's the only way to signal Atris. I'll try to make it back there as soon as I can, but don't wait for me. Don't forget, the portal combination's in my journal. Good luck.
Let me move! There we go. No, 21. 21. 17. 16. 4. 2. Oh! I just wanted to put the code in one more time. no loading times for the linking transitions. It's so jarring. Catherine removed the bridge for me, so I couldn't go elsewhere. Well. Let's get this game finished, and then I can start on Exile soon. The dagger that Catherine wrote into the age. She also wrote. The Starfisher. Before I do it, what have I done? I've released Catherine. I've captured Ken. That's all I needed to do. Signal Atris is step number 3, and... just like that, I've destroyed a world.
There isn't much time. Where's Catherine? Where's the book?
Atris!
I don't...
The villagers are safely in the Rebel Age. Thank you.
As do I. You've accomplished more than I could have hoped for. You've given me back my life. The path home is now clear for all of us. This is where our paths must part. Perhaps we'll meet again someday. You know where to find me. Goodbye, my friend.
And so Riven ends the way that Myst begins.
Now I understand. Endings and beginnings are within the fissure. That riven cleft of stars that access both a wall and a bridge. And though I am unable to understand how, the very flow of stars that brought my Myst book into worthy hands, I am sure served as a safe passage home for my friend. The age of Riven is closed forever, but the people of Riven are free. And now I am at rest, understanding that in books and ages and life, the ending can never truly be written.
Melon Prodari, welcome. And now that I've finished Riven, I'm actually about to sign off for the night, I'm sorry to say. But I will be uploading these to my YouTube channel before long. The first one will actually go live next week, I believe I have it scheduled for. The soundtracks for this series are one of my most heavily played playlists on Spotify. It is such fantastic music. But keep an eye on my channel, because before too long I will make a start on Exile. Going through and doing the entire series. And making notes to write into my own green book. And the camera doesn't like pages, apparently. This is still playing through, I'm going to go and say my farewells now and leave you with some beautiful, beautiful atmospheric music. Okay. Good evening. See you all on the next adventure, whatever that may be. Thank you, William. You too. Have a good night.